Hi everyone, good evening and welcome. I'm Finn and tonight I'm joined by our bar manager Derek and cocktail maker Ben. I'm the fourth generation to welcome people through our door here. My great grandfather Tom Mac opened the bar in 1899 and throughout that time we've been through a lot of triumph and turmoil. At the moment we're going through a pretty hard time, like everyone watching here tonight. We all really long to get back to the pub and let the night lead the way, but at the moment we have to hang tough and make do with what we've got. Tonight, however, we aim to bring the bar into your living room, and right now I'm going to hand you off to Ben, who will lead the way.
Hi everybody, I'm Ben Moriarty. I'm from John Benny's Bar and Restaurant on Strand Street, Dingle, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make some Peaky Blinders cocktails. So we have the book here, 40 cocktails, all based on classic cocktails. It's a great book. I'd highly recommend you go out and buy it because it's got a lot of different stuff in there. Basically from beginner to advanced, covers everything. Predominantly probably gin and whiskey cocktails, because at the time of Peaky Blinders you don't really see vodka in many cocktails until after the Prohibition era. So anyway, moving on, this cocktail is the Arthur's coffee. So that's based on the infamous espresso martini that you probably all know if you're into your cocktails. But they've done quite a twist on this one, where instead of the vodka you have gin. So we'll be using a Dingle gin here, our local gin, and then we have Kahlua coffee liqueur, and we're going to use a Bean and Dingle Farmar blend, which is a nice chocolatey coffee. So basically, I made the coffee yesterday, or this morning I should say. It's a cold espresso. You just make a regular espresso but leave it cool because you don't want it diluting the ice too much. So apart from these three then, we have a hit of cardamom, which kind of gives it a bit of a chai tea kind of a flavour. So I'll stop yapping on and I'll make a cocktail. Right, so what you need is a shaker, Hawthorne strainer, fine strainer and a measure. So we'll get our ice into our shaker first. Fill it up about halfway, because you put too much ice in there and you're basically not going to get much of a foam on the top of the espresso martini. So about halfway up there, I'm going to start with 50 of gin. Then we'll go 50 of coffee. $20 Kahlua. And the 3 cardamom. So now we put the glass on top and we're going to just get a nice seal on that so we don't splash all over the cameraman. Give it a nice shake. We want to go about 12 seconds here to get a nice bit of dilution. Bit of a bang. So we have a cooled espresso martini glass here, put ice in it, put that there, get our Hawthorne strainer on top. So what we're going to do here is, just in case there's any little ice shards in there, we'll double strain it. Now we'll just put 3 little coffee beans on top there. And there you have it, Arthur's coffee.
As it ships and cracks, where secrets lie in the border fires and the humming wires. Yeah, man, you know you're never coming back. Past the square, past the bridge, past the mills, past the stacks. On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right.
While we're waiting for Ben to get set up, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our whiskey collection here. So back in 2012, I suppose before Finn and I knew anything about whiskey, a guy by the name of Peter White came in here one night, who was president of the Irish Whiskey Society at the time. Got talking to Finn, and he kind of told Finn a little bit about whiskey.
At the same night, he drank half a bottle of whiskey that we didn't know the true value of. He did, but he got it for a lot less. But from that day, when we had only about maybe 15 bottles of whiskey up in the shelves, we've gone from there to having nearly 200 bottles. And in that time, we've gone on to win Irish Whiskey Bar of the Year 4 times, once 3 times in a row. Now that we can't welcome people into the bar, we've had to diversify the business. So what we've done is we are posting drams to people's doors. So if people want to try a dram, but obviously they can't get to the bar, they can go online, order a dram off us, and we post it directly to their door. Now some of the whiskies that we have in here, we have a vast variety. The Dingle ones are some of the most popular ones. Okay, and the next cocktail that Ben is going to make is going to use a Dingle single malt.
Hi guys, welcome back. So this time we're going to be doing a Freddy Thorne. It's a whiskey based cocktail. Going to be using whiskey from the local Dingle distillery. This one is actually a batch 5 single malt. Then we're going to get some fresh lime. Going to balance that with some sugar syrup, 50-50 water and sugar, really easy to make at home. Just mix it up even in the bottle. It's pure simple, just makes it easier to pour the sugar into the drink. We've got some mint here, some leaves, and then some sprigs for a garnish. So the wild card here is Fernand Branca. It's an Amaro. Italian for bitter is where the word Amaro comes from. These are basically, as I said, really bitter kind of herbal liqueurs. Some of these have like 40 plus herbs and spices in them. This one was originally introduced in 1845 for medicinal purposes, apparently to treat cholera. I don't know how true that was or if it ever actually did the job, but what it actually has done the job for recently has to cure the common hangover. So moving on, we're going to build the drink in the glass. So this glass is from Dingle Crystal. Shout out to the lads, really nice glasses, and they've supplied us with some. So you're going to just need for this one something to squeeze the limes, a bar spoon to basically just mix it up, and some crushed ice. So we'll start here with some mint leaves. I'm going to put them in there. I'm going to put 30 ml of sugar syrup. Then we're going to get some fresh lime. We're going to use half a lime here. We're just going to squeeze that right into the glass. We're going to just muddle that up here a little bit with the end of the spoon. Anything you can find around, just muddle it up, even with a spoon is fine. So now we're going to get our crushed ice. Don't want to overfill it yet because we're going to be pouring some of the spirits in. So we're going to go 60 of the whiskey. Just going to put another few bits of mint in there for good measure. Give it a nice stir, and we're going to just try and really incorporate it all into the drink. A little bit more crushed ice. Then get our mint sprig. Put that in there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do what's known as floating the Fernand Branca on the top. So we'll get the back of a spoon, any spoon will do, turn that up like this, and you just want to kind of gently float the drink on top. There you have it, guys. Freddy Thorne.
Wrap you in his arms, tell you that you've been a good boy. He'll rekindle all the dreams that took you a lifetime to destroy. He'll reach deep into the hole, heal your shrinking soul, but there won't be a single thing that you can do. He's a god, he's a man, he's a ghost, he's a guru. There are whispers names through this disappearing lane.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about this room?
Yeah, right now we're in the old living room of the building or bar, whatever you want to call it. Up until 1994, back here would have been private, and the only room that the public could have gone into would have been the main bar where we're filming the cocktail part. Dick Macs, my grandfather, died in 1992. He actually died at a table here counting money. He drifted off quietly and went on to another life. And my grandmother then lived here up until 1994, and when she died then they opened it up to the public. Around the time, when Dingle would have been becoming a lot more popular with people from abroad to come here, and the bar, it evolved from being really a bar with no name back in 1899 to a bar where in 1994, and after people wanted to come to have a drink, to meet local people, to get involved, buy a belt, all of that. And right now we're here on our own, but you can really feel a bit of life in here. And we've been doing work lately. We put a new roof on the pub. We're renovating the whole thing, and really looking forward to welcoming people back here in March, hopefully 2021, if we're open by then.
So you guys might have noticed that there's a couple of bars in here. There's one bar over here, another bar here. So traditional Irish bars back in the day would have had two uses. They wouldn't have made a living off one or the other. So they would have a bar on one side and a shop on the other. So some bars might have had like us with letters, and other bars would have had a bakery and just a general goods store. On that, Finn is going to tell us a little bit more about what we did here.
For me, when I'm here during the day, the fact that we're carrying on a tradition that would have begun in 1899, whereby you could come into the bar, have a beer, have a boot repaired or a belt made, I really feel a part of the family here when I'm here and I'm involved in it. Every bar back in the day would have had their bar and their shop half. You could buy tin food, or like here you could have a belt made or a shoe repaired. If you look behind me, you have a lot to look at, and even though we don't do the tin food, the shoe repair would be very limited now. We do belt making or keychain making, and you're here any day between March and October. I'll be behind the bar with Derek, and then Brian the belt will be over here entertaining your holiday maker, and you really have a great vibe, great feeling in the air, and people leave with that added value. They're not only coming in for a beer, they're coming in for a beer, a chat, and they leave with a little part of the pub, a little part of Dingle around them or in their pocket or on their, on a keychain. And for me, I can't wait to get back to that. But for now, I'll hand you over to Ben for another cocktail.
This time we're going to be doing a sour, the Birmingham Sour from the Peaky Blinders Cocktail book. So here we've got Crown Royale. It's a Northern Harvest rye. This one was actually an award-winning rye whiskey. So we've got rye whiskey, sugar syrup, red wine, and lemon juice. So lemon juice for the bitterness, obviously, and then we're going to have a little bit of sugar to balance out that citrus. So back to the mixer again, the Boston shaker. You're going to need something to squeeze the lemon juice, Hawthorne strainer, and a fine strainer. So what we're going to do, I have the ice cooling in our tumbler here. It's good to just get that nice and cool, because you don't want to be serving it into a warm glass. Want this to dilute as slowly as possible. So we're going to get our ice into the shaker. the rye whiskey cocktail is a real classic Prohibition era cocktail because a lot of the time it was very hard to get the real whiskies, especially in America at the time. So they often had to import rye whiskies instead. So it became quite a popular staple for any sort of cocktails around that era. The old-fashioned Manhattan, both classic examples of that. So this one is a whiskey sour. So we're going to take, do you know what, actually a good point to make is when you're building a cocktail, it's always good to leave the expensive element last. So what we're going to do here is we're going to build our cocktail the other way around. So we'll get our lemon juice here. I always find that the lemons you get around here are actually quite sharp. So I'm going to slightly alter the recipe that they've given us here. So instead of 30 lemon juice, I'm actually going to use 20. So I'll just put that in there. We're going to get 20 of the sugar syrup. 10 of the wine. And finally we're going to move on to the rye whiskey. So we're going to go 60 of the rye whiskey here. 30 and 30. So now we're going to give this a good shake now. Get a nice seal on that glass. Don't want it falling off, as I said before. I'm going to shake this for around 12 to 15 seconds. Get a nice dilution on it. So what you're doing is you're mixing up the drink and you're also just diluting it, adding a bit of water in to take the bite off. Okay, give that a bit of a bang. We can get our ice out of our tumbler. Get our strainer on there. Fine strainer again just to get rid of any ice shards and get a nice clear drink. And let's pour that in. Lovely colour on that from the wine. There you have it, guys. The Birmingham Sour. You guys are going to enjoy that.
On the TV screen, hey buddy, I'm warning you to turn it on. He's a ghost, he's a god, he's a man, he's a guru.
So for those of you that don't know, this area that I'm sitting in now is called a snug. Snugs are very commonplace in a traditional Irish bars back in the day. What they were used for privacy. So you could have had business deals going on inside in these places between farmers, so they would have, for example, they would have traded livestock and stuff like that. Also back in the day there would have been no solicitors or lawyers in the town, so one would come in maybe every 2 weeks or once a month, and if you had anything to do with them, you come in here and do whatever you need to do. They're also most importantly used as where women will come to drink, because it wasn't very ladylike to be seen out in the bar drinking men, so they come in here and have their drinks here.
Designed and directed by his red right hand.
Hi guys, welcome back for the last cocktail. This one's the West High. So this is based on an old-fashioned whiskey, sugar and aromatic bitters. A lot of you might know that one. Classic cocktail. This one is quite different to that one. We've swapped out the whiskey for rum. We're going to use a Havana Club rum. Then swap the sugar for honey. We've got a nice local Killarney honey here. 3 parts honey, 1 part water. Just to loosen up the honey a bit to make it easier to mix. Instead of the aromatic bitters, we've got a Lapsang Souchong tea. This is a black tea from China, made way up in the Wuyi Mountains, where they take black tea and dry it over smoking pine embers. So you get a really smoky hit of flavour in that one. A bit like being at a campfire and sitting around all night and come back in your t-shirts, real smoky, that kind of real campfire smokiness. So what you're going to need for this one is a mixing spoon. You're going to need a Hawthorne strainer, mixing glass, and a nice tumbler. We've gotten a lovely glass here again from Dingle Crystal. Thanks guys, big shout out there. So let's make the drink. So we get our ice. I'm going to put that into the mixing glass. And quite a lot of ice in there just to stop it from melting too quickly. You may have noticed in the book, in the Peaky Blinders book, that they want you to put some pine needles on the top and light it. We're going to do it slightly different here, and we're going to light them on the table and upturn the glass and do what's known as smoking the glass itself. So let's do that before we start pouring our drinks in. So basically you want to get a bit of a flame, and then once the flame has lit properly, you're going to just upturn the glass over it. So almost ready to go there, our own little campfire. There we go. Okay, so let's build the drink. So we're going to go 60 rum, 60 Lapsang Souchong tea, and then a teaspoon of Killarney honey. So we're going to just give this a bit of a mix here. So what you're looking for here is you're going to dilute the drink a little bit and take off the edge. If you're unsure of how long to mix the drink for, you can actually just kind of stop for a second, take a little bit on the spoon, drip it on the back of your hand. You want a little bit of sharpness left in the drink of the alcohol, but not too much, but basically just before, because it's going to keep diluting when it's in the drink with the ice. We're going to upturn the glass then and place a large ice cube in, because the larger the ice cube is, the slower it's going to melt. Okay, I think we're pretty much there with this. Getting a nice smoke in the glass there. So put our strainer on. Get our ice cube ready to upturn the glass. Nice big chunky one. Straight in there. And we'll strain this into the glass. Lovely hit of pine smoke there. There you have it guys, the West High cocktail. Thanks for watching.